And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents, or Prime Day Conversations, as we're calling it. So glad you all could be on with us. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, and if you guys are new to us on the Amazon side, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button so you can stay connected with all of our programming. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. We're excited to welcome author Rona to our broadcast today. She's the author of this book you guys see here, Friendship Matters. I'm going to talk to her not only about the writing of the book, but what's been like for her in her journey as a storyteller, to be able to share her gifts and talents with all of you. We are simulcasting our broadcast, so welcome to those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, as well as on Instagram. Glad you all could be with us as well. For those tuning in on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, you'll find the link for Amazon there for you guys to be able to come over. For those joining us on X, we'll have to put it in the comment section for you guys. And on Instagram, you guys will find it in my stories. But Rona, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Really appreciate it.
Listen, thank you, Cyrus, for having me. I'm very excited and definitely appreciate the opportunity. So thank you.
Look, it's my pleasure. We're going to get into Friendship Matters here in just a bit and the whole idea of friendship and family here. But I want to talk about this experience for you and all that you've been able to do. I noticed when I was prepping for this segment, you definitely are a person who seems to benefit from friends and family. What has it been like for you to write a story that explores those dynamics?
Well, it actually stemmed from a separation from friends and families and the need to reconnect. I relocated from Buffalo. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York, the setting of the book. And I relocated to Maryland, myself and my daughter, and I was missing my family and friends. And so I started writing. And that helped me to kind of fill a void, although my characters are not direct replications of my friends or families, it's fictional, but it gave me the culture, the foundation of friendship and relationships that I developed in Buffalo, just going through that writing process for me.
Love that. So, and I think the other thing that you've done with this book, Rona, of course, I got it on Amazon. Our audience can be able to do it as well, is that it really shows that it doesn't matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter where you come from, that all of us have stuff, right? And it doesn't take the place of the stuff just because you found success in a certain area. What was it like for you to explore with the characters you created?
Well, I actually started by using some of my characteristics, right? And then I gave each one of them at least one of my characteristics. And then I started just developing their personalities according to how I outlined it. What I found was that, I'd say one is very much like me. Another one is probably the exact opposite of me. And then the other one is kind of in the middle. So they're very real to me, like Sasha, people tend to mispronounce her name and I'll correct her name like I'm correcting my name, so very real to me. And I think that is why it was so well received by readers across because of how relatable they are.
So let's step back for a moment and then just talk about storytelling in general then, Rona. Is writing something, if I had met you 20 years ago, was writing something that I would have known you would be doing? Or how did the gift of writing, how did it show up for you?
So two things there. I would say first, I've always been told I tell a good story, right? And so if we've all experienced it, wait, let Rona tell it, let Rona tell it. So that was one of those things. I would have told you probably a year ago that I did not aspire to write. I don't recall that, but I have a friend of mine that told me, I told her 20 plus years ago that I was going to write a book. And I said, wow, that's crazy because today I don't really remember it. But again, this is a book that was written almost 20 years ago. And finished then and not published until 2022. So storytelling, I think, is just a part of my DNA, so to speak. Comes natural. Mm-hmm.
And now then, for you then, it's funny hearing you talk about, and I love the fact, because I was going to ask you about Sasha, but thankfully, Rona, on the back of the book, she helps us with the pronunciation of her name. So I would have gotten it right. But I wanted to ask you, did that make it more difficult to part with them then, Rona, because they were someone that was so close to you when it comes to characters and characteristics?
Well, not really. I mean, my intentions, I was really writing this book for myself. It developed into something much bigger than I had planned. And then as readers started communicating their love for the book, they were asking for more. So I really haven't parted with them because the sequel is currently being finished and drafted. So I think I'm gonna hold on to them a bit longer because and that's joyful to me because, like I said, I'm very much connected to them.
Yeah. So I want to talk about the idea of connection because that is a part of this book. And sometimes, we all have been in those situations, Rona, where we have people that truly know us, people who truly get us. What was kind of the seed for you, though? You talked about, the connection to the characters, each of the characters. But was it a situation that kind of brought them all together for you that made you say, you know what, this is a story I think people will enjoy?
Well, I think just from the foundation of friendship, obviously there's got to be at least one other person that's a part of that. I have probably a larger pool of friends, and I thought the three were unique enough, different enough, but their bond was strong enough that I thought the way that they interacted with each other, one another, uplifted one another, would be very much well received because that's what we see in our lives today. Generally, if you're going out, is you hanging with your boys or you're hanging with your girls, it's two or three of you, and all of you have different personalities that shine through as you engage with one another. And I think that's important. No one wants the same person. Like, I don't want three clones of me. You don't grow that way. So I think that was very important because you can see the growth in the book and the characters. Mm-hmm.
What surprised you the most in the process of writing? Like you said, this is a journey that began years ago. We got to meet them recently, but what was the process that made you say, you know what, it's time for me to be able to share this?
Well, actually, COVID sparked that. I had always talked about the book. And during COVID, as you know, we were disconnected, right? We were separated from everyone. And I remember saying to my husband, I think I want to go ahead and pursue publishing the book. And he's like, you should do it. I've been wanting to read it. So I think God gave me that desire to do so during that time. It gave me the freedom to focus on it. And it also gave me the ability to reconnect with family and friends in a different way.
I think for anyone, and I've interviewed a lot of authors, Rona, but I think readers are always, especially when they feel like they know the author, they try to find where the author fits in the story. You kind of made that even more interesting by deciding how you wanted to write this. How did you decide that you wanted to write it in first person and really slip into the skin of the characters and tell their story that way?
Because I felt it's a conversation. That's how I believe the book is received. It's a conversation. You start reading it, you feel like you're in the book. You feel like you know the characters. We are talking the way you and I are talking. And I think that speaks to the soul of us as just human beings to be able to connect because it's not, it's something that you feel like you can touch and identify with.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to bring up something and talk around it, but you'll know what I'm talking about. And that is sometimes what happens with friends, as we see that happens in Friendship Matters, Rona, is that they talk about the situations that they're dealing with. Sometimes it's with their significant others. Other times it's with their in-laws, or their relatives. What was that dynamic like for you to play with that? Yes, we all need friends. We all have people that we kind of lean on, but especially when it's going through challenges in our relationships and also with those who seem to be intruding on our space. I'll put it that way.
So are you saying how is it to discuss that in a relationship with those outside of that relationship?
Exactly right.
Well, I think we do that every day, right? Like, how can you as a human being hold it all in yourself? We all need support in different ways. And, I may talk to, let's say, my mom, and not necessarily tell her the specifics, but maybe I just need a little wisdom from what she might share in the situation. And I think it just helps us to remain grounded, and people don't realize it helps us to stay connected, because if once I present that to someone else and they give me some feedback, now I'm looking at it, oh, okay, I didn't think of it that way. And it helps that relationship to remain intact.
That's right. And such a great reminder for us. I want to say hello to you at Daybreak 197. I see you over there on Instagram. See you guys over there on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. If you guys have any questions for Rona, make sure you guys do put those in the chat. For those who are just tuning in, welcome. You all are watching Prime Day Conversations here on Amazon Live, but we're simulcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, as well as on Instagram. We're speaking with author Rona D today. Her book is here, Friendship Matters. You all can be able to get your copy now. I got mine on Amazon. You'll be able to do the same thing. Rona, I want to ask you, what about the title of published author? What has that been like? I asked someone else that recently who became an author also during the pandemic. What was that like for you to embrace that title for yourself?
It was amazing. I mean, what I had researched at the time, 17 years prior, was totally different, of course. And I am glad that I was able to walk through the steps in the journey. I feel like my second book, I've learned a lot of things. It was very rewarding. I won 13 awards within 9 months of publishing the book, and those are international awards as well as domestic. And so the journey has been amazing as I was receiving the awards, even just the initial book launch, we did it at Morton's in DC, and my family and friends traveled, and it just was the entire process made me feel like I could do it again if I needed to. Absolutely.
Did you, I know you said that you have the second book, and we're going to let our audience know, of course, how to stay connected with you, but did you go into Friendship Matters knowing that there would be more to the story you wanted to tell, or was it something that evolved as you were able to flesh these characters out and kind of let us get to know them and you get to know them?
Yeah, it literally came from the readers.
Okay.
I don't even think once I published the book that I had that in mind. There's other books that I want to write. But the readers were asking, they wanted more. And so I'm like, oh, okay, well, I gotta write a sequel. So that's where that came from.
Love that. And I think, for our audience out there, it's a great reminder too of how things can develop. So now that you kind of enjoyed this side of it, of writing a book, have you gotten used to the idea of having fans? I know you said that the readers told you what they wanted, what they were curious about. Is that something now that's been easy for you to sit with?
I guess to a certain extent. I'm a very humble person, and I can remember in 2022 we were at the Ritz, and I have a team. You'll see it in the front of the book. They are always speaking and promoting Friendship Matters. And I happened to walk away, came back, and they had introduced my book to someone. And the lady said, oh, I was just looking at that book on Amazon. And I was like, wow. Really? So I was like, oh, more excited probably than her, because that was amazing, how small of a world it is. So I get, I'm usually just as happy as they are, and excited, because it's a wonderful thing for people to appreciate something so personal to you that you put out there. It's a very vulnerable thing to be a part of, but they've shown the appreciation, and I remain humble with that. I keep that very dear to my heart, but I'm probably just as much of a fan of them since they read it. I love that,
So for yourself then, did you find it, and again, so as you were introducing the friends, I'll put it this way, was there a friend that kind of, for you, kind of took over the story?
Well, Seisha takes over the story, right? But she was perfect, because when you you're getting into something, just the first paragraph of the book, right? And then she ends it. You're unique. She's the foundation. She's the wisdom. She's the one that's going to say, now, wait a minute, y'all. And Candace, she is the one that I would say grew the most throughout the story. And so most people can relate to that. So, but Seisha, if anyone speaks of the book, she's the one that sticks out probably the most. But I was surprised to find that most people favored Candace more. And I think is her growth and her strength and how she overcame is what people identify with.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think too, and this is just me speaking as a reader, that, she, as her situation seems to be so realistic for a lot of people, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe they haven't reached the levels of some of the other characters, but I think so many people can kind of relate to the situations maybe of Candace for sure. Last thing I want to ask you about, we're going to remind our audience how to stay connected with you, and that is, about this journey, because I think for a lot of readers out there, we always are curious as to, how a project like this, how it changes the author, how it, has helped them to evolve. As you saw these characters evolve, how has Rona D evolved as she prepares for her second book?
Oh, I mean, I'm way more comfortable with promoting myself. That was not a thing I was very comfortable with. IG was a challenge initially, getting used to the social media platforms and just the willingness to have conversations. I am a very social person, but just even speaking here live, challenge for me. I don't necessarily feel as comfortable, but I do it because I know that it's a part of the process, and I appreciate the responses that I've received, and that helps me to continue on with it.
Love that. Love that. It's a great thing. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors out there? Maybe those who have not put pen to paper or started a story, but have a story in them or have been told they have a story to tell. What advice do you normally give to aspiring authors out there?
I'll say the biggest thing that I learned with Friendship Matters is to outline first. I did not do that initially, so I had to go back. Definitely a lot more labor, and of course, I'm outlining with the current sequel. But that's the first thing. And if you don't want to put pen to paper, use your notes on your phone. Record the things that come into your mind as they come into your mind, and then go back to it. But write and don't be scared to share it, because you never know. I had no idea that Friendship Matters would touch people in the manner that it does. So sometimes you have to just follow through with what God has placed in you, and I'm glad that I did. And hopefully that'll help someone else.
Love that. Daybreak 197 says, "Thank you. I'm getting inspired." Thank you so much for that, Daybreak. That is always the hope that we are, especially for those who have a story in them or have a story they want to share. We hope that guests like Rona D are able to help you be able to realize that you can do it and what can come from it as well. Rona D, so glad we had a chance to have this chat today. Congratulations on the continued success of Friendship Matters. Again, it's available here on Amazon, both in paperback, like I have, or the Kindle edition. For those who are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you'll find the link there to be able to get your own copy. Those on X, I'll make sure I put it in the comment section for you guys. On Insta, you'll find the link, and my stories there. Rona, how can our audience stay connected with you?
Sure. You can always find me at www.ronadwrites.com. My social media handle is at Rona D Writes on all social media platforms. I'm also the founder of the Friendship Matters Experience Group, which is on Facebook. And so we take people, ladies, gents, and families, depending on, around the DMV. We try restaurants, do all sorts of activities, such as we're going to Aruba this year as well. So Friendship Matters has turned into a movement. It's way more than a book at this point. And so I can be found in all those places. I look forward to connecting with you all.
Love it. Rona, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to chatting with you with book
Absolutely. I'm ready. You just let me know when you want me back.
You got it. And we thank your audience for tuning in. It's another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, I'm Cyrus Webb saying thank you so much for being with us. We'll talk to you real soon. You all take care.
Thank you.